What is up guys, and welcome to my latest video here on SP Vids. Today, as you can see, I'm back on the SP404 Mark II and I'm going to share some tips about jamming and performing with this unit. So I think I might follow this up with a part 2, we'll see how we go, but I've got 5 tips in this video to share with you which I think are really going to help. And yeah, there'll be a crossover between kind of just jamming at home, maybe jamming to record out of your machine, and actually performing live in front of an audience as well. So both those disciplines are pretty similar, to be honest, so I think these tips will apply to both. Okay, so the first tip that I'm going to share with you is to keep Bus 2 free. So this is going to be also showing you how to set up to be able to use effects live as well. This is the way I do it. So if I go to Shift and 16, which is my EFX settings, you can see here I've got my buses set up in series. You can change that to have them in parallel. Bus 1 and 2, I'm going to have those in series. So that means that when I use Bus 2, it's going to affect all my pads basically. So on 3 and 4, I've got my compressors. Bus 1 and 2 are free at the moment, but on Bus 1, I can also use another effect for master if I wanted to. So here I've got filter and drive on. And then Bus 2, I'm keeping that free because this is where I'm going to jam MFX. So I'll give you an example of me doing a bit of jamming with some MFX. So there you go, hopefully you get the idea. Because I've got that Bus 2 free, I'm able to jump in and out of MFX, I'm able to improvise and jam and have those over the top of my beats thanks to the way that I've got the buses set up as well. So if you want to have a look at that screen, pause it there, you can copy that, just use the value wheel to change it if you're not on type A. You can see there you can change between type A and B, basically series and parallel, and that's the way I do things. So every time I want to add an effect on the whole beat, I go to Bus 2, I use an effect and I play around with the parameters. Really important, and it's going to mean you can create little variations, make things sound very interesting. Even if you're just recording out of the machine to record a beat, recording something for socials or performing in front of an audience, you're going to want to have a spare bus to be able to do that with, and that's the way that I do it. Okay, my next tip, and I wish this one was a bit more intuitive. I wish there was a dedicated button for it, but unfortunately there isn't. It's kind of okay to get into anyway, but I've been doing this a lot more recently, and that's using the combination of shift and reverse to be able to do pauses on the fly. And this is mainly with drums, I would say. So if I come out of the pattern area, if I do shift and reverse, you see you kind of get into this pause area. So you have to hold them down, and then you can activate samples and that will pause it, or mute it, sorry, I should be saying mute, not pause. So you can mute it like that. You can do multiple at the same time if you're good with your fingers like that. So all 3 like that, you can see, and on and off. And you can do that while a pattern is playing. So if I have this pattern playing again and I go to the bank with my drums on, which is H, I can play around while the pattern's playing. So I'll give you a demonstration of that. We'll do shift and reverse. So you can hear there, I'm able to do pauses whenever I want. They aren't quantized or anything like that, so you do have to use your own timing, but you can do some really nice and easy pauses there, like I did the snare and then pausing all 3 of the drums at the same time. It is annoying having to hold shift and reverse, but at least we do have an option to do it. Like I say, I wish we had a dedicated mute button which you could just hold and then press the buttons, but that's the way that the SP is, and we have to just go with the flow with that one. Okay, my next tip is jamming intros before you go into a beat. Now this is kind of a bit more of an advanced one because you have to be pretty quick with your fingers. So let's just have a look in bank A here. I've got some chops. Okay, and in the pattern select area in A, I've got a beat which is made with those chops. So I'll just do a little demonstration. Okay, so what I can do is before I start that pattern on 10 here, I can jam these chops and then go into the pattern area really quickly and then trigger the start of the beat. Okay, so let's give this a little go and I can show you what I mean. Okay, so I improvised some chops there and then quickly jumped into the pattern mode and launched the pattern, and it just adds a bit of a dynamic feel to your performances. So if you're doing it live, obviously it looks like you're actually doing something. You could just program that into a pattern, but then you'd just be stood there waiting for the pattern to finish. So it just means you can jam, have a bit more freedom, create a little intro like that, and then quickly jump into the pattern area, trigger the related pattern, and you've made yourself a little intro. Kind of a fun little thing to do, just requires you to be pretty quick with your fingers, but with a bit of practice, I'm sure you'll be able to do that one. Okay, my next tip is that you can assign MFX to these buttons at the top here. So they have got the letters on them, and I really wish Roland would have just put like MFX 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on these, but unfortunately we're stuck with what they say. So these 5, the 3 on the left and the 2 here are all customizable. The MFX button isn't, because obviously we need a way to get into the menu, so that's fair enough. So all we have to do to change these is go to Shift and EFX settings, scroll all the way to the right, and then back 1, and you can see we get to direct. So direct FX 1, you can see that's the first button, 2 is the second, 3 is the third, 4 is the fourth, 5th is the 5th, obviously. And you can change these to whatever you want. So I've only actually customized one of these. My resonator, which I don't really like as an MFX, especially for live and jamming, I've changed that to stopper. So all you have to do is click the value wheel, and you can go through the full list of MFX and change it to whatever you want. Let's put that back to stopper, and then if I'm playing a beat, there we go, that's stopper instead of resonator. So yeah, get your favorite MFX on those 5 pads. It makes it a lot easier to access them, and it just means you can make your performances a little bit more slick. I really like filter, I really like delay, isolator, and DJ effects looper, so I keep those as is. Roland obviously knew that those are pretty well used effects during performance and jamming, so that's why they're there by default. So yeah, just change that resonator one and gives me stopper. Okay, tip number 5, and this is probably one of the most important, I think. It's setting up your MFX before you actually activate them. So when you're playing live, obviously, you don't want to get this wrong. You want the MFX to be ready and right for what you want to do. And luckily, it's really easy to do this. All you have to do is hold remain and press one of these buttons. So let's say, for example, I want to add isolator to the beat. If I press it, you can see here that I'm presented with the parameters, but it hasn't lit up the MFX. If I don't hold remain and press it, you can see that it activates it. So remain and isolator, I can see all the values, I can change these values, and it's not gonna actually be on the beat at this point because the button isn't lit up. So I'm just playing around with the MFX and I'm getting them set up ready. So I would like this one to be just mid in the middle like this, and low and high turned all the way down. It gives it a kind of old radio sound. Then if I start the beat, let's try this one again. Now let's activate this. Okay, so that was set up and ready to go, and like I say, you can do this while it's playing, so I'll give you a demonstration of that. I'll set these to all wrong, so let's do something like this. Okay, sounds terrible, so I'm going to start the beat, I'll turn off isolator, and I'll show you that I can change the parameters without affecting the beat, and then apply it. We'll press remain and isolator, set these to 0, and the mid to the middle. Now it's ready. And there we go, it worked exactly how I was expecting it to. So that is really, really important. As soon as you change effect, you're going to have to use remain to make sure that the parameters are set up correctly. If you want to use isolator again, you can just start twisting the dials and you can see it pops back up on the screen. But as soon as you change to a different MFX, say if I go to delay, you can see now that that might not be set up the way I want it. So the best way to change to a different MFX and to check the parameters are right, hold remain. There we go. I could go to filter, for example. I could change that to that. And now I know it's ready. Then I can activate it, etc., etc. So yeah, really, really important. Make sure all your parameters are in check before you trigger the MFX by using remain. Okay, I'm feeling a little generous today, so I'm going to throw in an extra little tip, and that is that you can use the value wheel to do an MFX Grab, it's called. So what this is basically, if you hold this value wheel down, when you press the button, it will activate it, and when you let go, it turns it off. If I do this without the value wheel, it's a toggle, so it turns on and then it turns off. So I'll hold the value wheel, you can see I'm pressing it, it's on, and then as soon as I let go, it turns off. This is really, really fun, and basically it enables you to do things that you wouldn't be able to do if you use the button as a toggle. It allows you to be a lot faster in and out of the MFX. So I'll show you an example here. Okay, something a bit random, probably wouldn't actually do that, but you can see that that wouldn't be possible with toggle. You'd have to be pressing it so fast to get it off and on. There's just no control, basically. So yeah, press and hold the value wheel, and then you get MFX Grab, and it's a lot better for doing quick things like that. You can do that with any of the effects up here, so maybe we could do isolator as well. You can get pretty creative with that. So hold value wheel down, you get MFX Grab like we used to have on the SP404-SX, and it enables you to do things that you wouldn't normally be able to do with MFX. Okay, that's it for this one, guys. If you want to see a follow-up video to this with a few more tips, please let me know, but hopefully those are going to really help you to perform a lot better, or even just jam at home, or when you're recording a beat out and you just want to jam, these tips are going to help as well. They're also going to help when you're posting on socials and stuff like that. You can jam along. Look out for my shorts on a Wednesday. I always try and post a beat on a Wednesday, and you'll see a lot of these techniques getting used. So thanks for watching. Big shout out to all my members for the monthly support. Shout out to you all that are buying things from my shop. It really does help me to keep making these videos, so I really, really appreciate that. And I will see you again in another video very, very soon.